My next guest will be facing Aoriqileng on April the 23rd at UFC Fight Night 207. And of course, it is Cameron Else on the show. Cameron, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And as I was saying before we started this interview, I'm excited to see you back in action. First off, just tell me, how has camp been at Syndicate thus far?
It's been really good. It's been a long camp, a lot longer than I wanted, but beggars can't be choosers, right?
Well, why has that been? I know you were supposed to fight Aaron Phillips in July of last year. Why did that fight fall apart? And is there a reason why you've had such an extended layoff?
That fight basically fell out like the week of the fight due to my visa not coming through. Because of the whole COVID and backlog and that, a lot of fighters were having trouble getting their visas on time. Because even though it's an emergency visa application that they applied for, there was a load of emergency visas backed up. So even they had a delay a lot longer than what they normally would have a turnaround. And then, yeah, basically I had a couple of things that basically didn't go right with my visa. So I had to reappeal and wait even longer, which took basically 5 months in the end, which is really gutting because I had done a solid fight camp, obviously paid all my dues, paid all my money for my fight camp, and then to get told the week of the fight, yeah, you're definitely off it. The visa's not going to happen now. It was frustrating, and then to end up being told also I can't go back to America until the visa's sorted, because during applying for a visa, I can't. It means that my current ESTA, which I used to travel on to just train in the States, that's invalid. So until finding out what happens with the visa, I couldn't even go back to America to train. So it went from meant to be going home for 2 weeks to pick up the visa and returning to Vegas to fight, to going home and end up having to be there for 5 months to 6 months. So it was hard, man, because like I say, I was prime, I was in shape, I was ready to knock that kid's head clean off because he's run his mouth a lot, and yeah, just one of those things really. But at the end of the day, like I said before, I just gotta stay focused and basically concentrate on what I can control. And that was just me basically sitting back, being patient. And then I got my visa. I was meant to be going to be scheduled for the London fight card, which I'm gutted I didn't get to fight on. But at the current time, they stopped matching for UFC London because they weren't too sure if UFC London was even going to go ahead, because the UK government hadn't basically given the go ahead to say, yeah, it was going ahead. So with that, I was like, I don't want to wait around again. And then my manager rang me and was like, we've got this fight. Would you want this one in April? I said, yeah, whatever, just sign it. I didn't even know the kid. Right.
Yeah, geez, I got to imagine you are just chomping at the bit to get in there on April the 23rd. Now, is that Aaron Phillips fight? Is that one? You talk about him running his mouth a lot. Is that a fight that you hope gets booked again here in the near future?
I mean, I'll take whatever comes really. But honestly, if I was to be completely honest, I I kind of see us on different paths. Like I don't. I think where I'm heading is a far greater place than where he's heading. So, I mean, he had. I question a lot about a man that won't fight when they're in their prime. Like I pulled out the fight yet because it wasn't my fault. It's just the way it is. There's a lot going on. He was there fight week and he had a guy pull out. I think it was Trevin Jones. Trevin Jones lost his opponent that week too. And do you know what I mean? They're both bantamweights. Trevin Jones, I think, was coming off a loss or whatever. They both had, well, Trevin Jones had like, I think, 2 fights in the UFC. Aaron Phillips has had 3 fights in the UFC. You're meant to be in the best physical space, like mentally, physically. You're in fight week. You haven't fought in so long. And they offer you that fight and you turn it down and go back home after so long. Like, I don't care whoever you want to make out you are and put out this false like persona, like I'm in the best shape of my life, and then turn down a fight with a guy who's same weight and all that. It makes me laugh really. But and then ever since then he's pulled out again. He's pulled out 2 more fights. So I don't even know what's going on with that kid. But I mean, if the UFC ring me up and say Aaron Phillips, 100%, I'll take the fight. I'm gonna say yeah, and I'm gonna take it like straight away. Do you know what I mean? I'm not the type of guy to ever say no to the UFC. I've never been the guy to say no to any fight in my career. So yeah, if it comes, then I'll happily knock him out. I think after he sees what I do on April 23rd, I don't think there's going to be a lot of people putting my name in their mouth again.
All right, fair enough. Now, the last time that we did see you in the cage was all the way back in October of 2020. That was in Abu Dhabi. You suffered a loss to Kyler Phillips there. Is there a takeaway from that one? Something that, maybe you can tighten up or just make yourself a better mixed martial artist here moving forward?
I mean, first and foremost, I'd say, I know people say that's the last time they saw me, but that weren't the last time they saw me, because that wasn't me. Like, it's as simple as that. That weren't Cameron else. And I've proved that many times before. Whenever I've had a full camp, I've come in and I've knocked people clean out. All my fights are first round finishes, all 10 wins. So I think that speaks a lot there. I think with the Kyler Phillips fight, again, like taking nothing away from Kyler, because at the end of the day, I knew what I was getting into. It was 6 days notice. I had a lot of weight to shift. It was being called up to the UFC, which obviously was a lifetime dream. I had a lot to deal with. On the day I got told I'm fighting on the main card on the weighing day. So the main card was like at 7 a.m. It was all weird as hell, and like time difference, like the jet lag, being quarantined in your hotel room for 56 hours before the fight, and then people forget that I hadn't trained at all for a year before that because of COVID, and because I couldn't get out to the States. I was actually just sitting in my garden at home drinking beer every day. So I don't feel like anyone, and especially any of like the UFC fans, really got to see me. And some people talk shit online and talk about that fight. At the end of the day, I come in and I fought basically the best I can after cutting a lot of weight. So the only thing I really take from that fight is knowing that I can't do a stupid weight cut like that, because it really did affect me bad. So I won't be taking a short notice fight with that amount of weight. I'll be always staying in shape and relatively around my weight where I can literally just drop in a week. So I'll stay around that, but I don't really take too much from it, because I think, yeah, it is a loss. I did lose. I definitely didn't get TKO'd. That's one thing I think that needs to change. Like, I was never hurt. I was never knocked out. I've never been knocked out in my career. Like, the TKO stance really pisses me off, to be honest. But yeah, I don't really take much from it, apart from I will get revenge with Kyler, and Kyler will be seeing me in the future.
Man, I'd love to see that rematch. I'm sure the fans out there would love to see it as well. So what is that cut like to 35?
35 is easy, providing I've got a bit of time, At the time, like I say, at the time, I wasn't training at all. So I was the heaviest I've ever been. I think I was around 165, just sitting there. So, and that was like then having 10 days to, 6 or 7 days to then cut to 35. It was extreme. I averagely, anyway, walk around at 165. But like, give me, like, for example, right now, I'm walking around at 153. 151, and I've still got 4 weeks, so I'm like well on track, like, and it's annoying. I want to be sitting there sinking a beer after training, which I can't, but it's not a hard cut for me. It's not like, I could understand if right now I was at 160, 165, like, or if I got into the 170s, then I know I should think about going up. But right now, it's easy. It's easy for me. If you give me 6 weeks, I'll make weight easy every time.
Okay. So do you think that the bantamweight division in the UFC is the deepest one, that the whole roster? I mean, because you look at it, I mean, top to bottom, there's so many studs there. Do you think that this is the most dangerous, deepest weight class?
I definitely think it's the hardest to get into, but I also believe that the top 10's a lot easier than the top 30. I believe that the matchups in the top 10 favour me far more than, say, like, I think I have more difficult fights outside getting into the top 10, getting a ranked opponent. I think there's fighters right now sitting around the bantamweight division where they're all on the verge of, say, getting cut. There's a few fighters in there which, do you know what I mean, were the dog's bollocks in the past, but just they're coming to the end now, and I think it's going to be a big clearance. I also feel like I don't feel, if there's one thing I can say at the minute, which I feel is kind of like missing from the bantamweight division, is the fear of a knockout artist that sleeps people continuously with both hands, quick. Like, I think the last person in the UFC division was like John Lineker, right? That when he was like, damn, like, if you got a phone call and you're fighting him, you're like, no, you're gonna, like, if he hits you, cracks you, you're pretty much done. I don't really see that. I think we're missing that, but all round as a fighter, I think, yeah, definitely we're the most complete fighters in that division. I'd say that's probably better format for that. The most complete fighters overall, obviously.
The title fight is right around the corner with Jan and Sterling. How do you think that rematch is going to shake out?
I think if you look at the last fight, Sterling had success in taking him down early on. But one thing with Peter Yan is he gets better as it goes on. It's like he always kind of knows that, okay, yeah, I'm good here, and kind of like lets people start to believe they've, like, it takes people's best positions, survives them, gets up, smiles, and walks forward. I think that is it's a very good way, a calculated way of getting in the mind of a fighter, and I think he definitely did that to Sterling. I think he definitely broke Sterling in the last fight, and once Sterling realised, oh, I've taken him down, but I can't hold him down. I've thrown the kitchen sink at him. He's still walking through me. There isn't really much left for him to do. I think you really saw that in the last fight. I think in this fight, the big difference is Sterling's got a hell of a lot to prove, and I think this fight is actually more. It's obviously a lot bigger than the first fight, regardless. For both of them. However, I think it's far bigger fight for Sterling because the amount of shit he's getting. He's the fake champ. He faked the knee. All this talk. He's took so much shit. So if he can go in there now, and I believe if he can get the fight to the floor in the first or second round, we could see a big upset with a rear naked choke finish. But if he don't get Peter Yan out there by the end of the second, I think it's Peter Yan stops Sterling in the later rounds.
I 1000% agree with everything you just said. And I wanted to ask you too about TJ Dillashaw. I just interviewed Rob Font the other day, and I asked him, do you think TJ Dillashaw, his best days are behind him, or he can reclaim the belt and have a title again? What do you think when you look at TJ Dillashaw? You saw his last performance. Do you think he's still the cream of the crop, or is his best days behind him?
When I watched his last performance, I literally just saw a pumped up steroid little freak that shouldn't even be fighting in the UFC. And I think his best days are definitely behind him, because at the end of the day, he ain't juiced up no more. And he would never, ever, ever, ever be what he was, because he was a little cheat and it was never him. So I think the hardest thing mentally is knowing that you've been pumping steroids in your body to get to your peak, and you've been smashing it, but you could have never reached that peak without those steroids. And that's something that always was sitting in his mind. So I think, yeah, 100%, we've guaranteed seen the best days of TJ come and go. One thing for sure, TJ hasn't got a chin for shit. So the next person that crack him solid puts him out, and Peter Yan will 100% be able to crack him solid and put him on his ass. I think Rob Font could put him on his ass. I think there's a lot of fighters there. I think the difference with the Corey Sandhagen fight, even though he did hit him quite a lot, I don't think Corey's really much of a puncher knockout artist. I think he's very tricky and he can catch you off guard, and obviously he has knocked people out with his leg kicks and that. But I just think in terms of punching, that's where more likely there's more openings to knock TJ out. I don't like him. I think he's a little rat, and I hope in the future, after I string a few wins together, he's around so I could punch his head in.
I love it, man. You're spitting fire. And have you ever talked to the UFC about being part of like the broadcast team when they go over to England? I mean, they just had UFC London. You're very knowledgeable, and the way that you're talking about just the breaking down like fighters and whatnot, you would be a shoo-in. Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, it's definitely something I thought about, and it's funny you say that because I have quite a few people that know me well and know how much I break down fights, and they're always saying that like I give really good looks, really good takes on fights. So I've spoke to my manager. I said to him that's something that I definitely would like to go into. Um, I've got on my laptop, I've got a breakdown of nearly every fighter that you can imagine, especially in my division, like a full breakdown of their weaknesses, their strengths, how to beat them, how they would beat other people, and I'm always doing stuff like that. I believe I've got a real good knowledge of MMA as an analyst, and that's something that I believe I could literally just, as a role, I could walk straight into. So obviously being a good looking Englishman too, I think it's not going to be too bad when I'm hitting the screens. I'll
Yes,
be
sir.
good for ESPN or BT Sport, but right now concentrate, doing well in this next fight, and then moving forward. Saying I definitely would, yeah, I'd love to do it. I would love to do it.
And Michael Bisping is one of my favorite analysts to listen to, so maybe you can follow right in his footsteps, my friend.
Yeah, 100%. I think I definitely bring character to the panel, and I think I'm not one of those that I give good insight. Like if I'm going to suggest something or go with a different outcome to a fight, whoever's sitting opposite with me would be able to sit and go, okay, I understand. Yeah, I see where you're coming from here. It's not like I'm just throwing it out there because I like this fighter. If I've got a reason for how they're going to lose, you can be guaranteed sure that I've got a strong claim to why, and a real factual one. So I think that's what people really want to hear. And I'm quite good at breaking down fights on the go, like calling what to look for. So often, like when we're watching fights, I'd say they need to look for this combination. I'd look here, and then sometimes it's pretty cool when you then hear the comments between say after you. You're like, I said it before you. So
I love it, man. Yeah, I'd love to see you in that role. I think you'd absolutely kill it. I got to ask you too about the fighters. You know, in the UK, there's so many that are really starting to become so much more well known. You know, a guy that you beat in the past, back in 2013, Paddy Pimblett, is becoming a superstar right now. Tom Aspinall, Arnold Allen. There's so many great fighters out of the UK that are really getting a lot of steam behind them. How do you think you fit into that mix? Like you get a win here over Aoriqileng or Aoriqileng. How do you think you fit into that all mix of the UK fighters?
I think it all comes down to my performance and then my post-fight interview. I don't hold any punches, and I've got a lot to say. So at the end of the day, that's what the fans want to hear. They want to hear that you're going to knock them out. Like when your prediction comes with the fights, they want to hear, yep, you're going to finish in first round and you're going to do that. Like I could confidently say that I honestly believe I'll finish any guy in the first round. And that's not being cocky. That's going off facts and statistics. I've got all my wins first round finishes. So I'm a finisher. I come to finish the fight. So I'm exciting. That's the main ingredient that you need. And then I back it up. And I feel that like people go on about the Paddy. I get it all the time. And it's great. Yeah, I beat Paddy. I submitted Paddy. I'm the only guy to finish Paddy. Like I put Paddy to sleep quick in 36 seconds. Again, at the time, he was unbeaten, and there was a lot of hype around him. No one wanted to fight him. I obviously stepped up, did it, but unfortunately, at the time when I did it, you got his manager who also owns Cage Warriors, which I can't stand, to be honest. Hides the fight. Didn't like the fact I beat him, so I hid the Paddy fight for 2 years. So I never got given that footage. It was like, oh, let's just hide it because we want to protect Paddy and build Paddy up because that's what he's like. That's what he does with all his fighters. And then Do you know what I mean? And another time, like the last time I fought in Cage Warriors, I beat another one of his guys, and they still haven't released that footage. They still haven't given me that footage, even though Greg Jackson come over and cornered it. And they're like, "Oh no, we ain't got that footage." Like, I just feel that a lot of organizations, when it comes to me, I've had to do everything myself, right? Everything. I have to promote myself. I never had a good manager. I couldn't ever get the right fights for me. The amount of times I wanted to fight a bantamweight, but I could never get a bantamweight fight because there wasn't people there to fight me. Oh, can you fight this weight, that weight? Always weight above. I've always said yes. I come in, I knocked out Dylan Took for my Bellator debut. That was on a week's notice. Weight above, unbeaten guy. I knocked out Aiden James on Brave, my last knockout, big knockout. He got told that if he beat me, he was fighting for the title on Brave. I go in, knock him out. They then decide, oh, we're not actually going to say what we said we're going to do, give you the title fight. We want you to fight another fight. It's just, I've always had that, yeah, every time. Paddy, whenever I do something good, it gets taken away from me by the businessman in that setting. And I feel that with the UFC, when I go in there and perform like I'm going to, and when I get on that mic, because there's a lot of people that have got to answer for their words, I believe I'll blow straight up, because also the UFC don't hide talent. The UFC promote talent. So if you're a finisher, you come to fight every time. Dana loves that. He said that he was a fan of me back when I fought. Obviously, unfortunately, I didn't even get to show. I feel like I let the big boss man down. I feel like I let a lot of people down, but I'll make up in this next fight, and I'll blow up. I believe I will blow up, man. Do you know what I mean? I believe that with my character and with my fighting style, I'll be a fan favorite. And also with the Paddy fight, there will be a rematch with me and Paddy. I've offered a rematch to Paddy from the day I beat him. From the day I beat him, I offered Paddy a rematch. Talked all this shit. I was like, let's fight again. I'll come up a weight. No, excuse after excuse. I even said to him, I'll come to your gym now and I'll smash your head in your gym. And he didn't want that. I've got it all on text message. I've got it all like saved there, because I knew one day it would end up coming to surface. And we spoke, to be fair, me and Paddy spoke the other day, and he was like, I don't think Cam will fight me now because I'm a lightweight. Mate, he knows I'd fight him. And I said to him straight away on a tweet, bruv, I'll fight you 100%. And I walk around at 165. Making 55 is easy for me. And I believe I'd knock Paddy out. I've submitted him, so I'd knock him out. So that's something exciting down the line. He's agreed that he would fight me. He said he would. That's something down the line that can definitely happen again. But if not, there's other people in my division alone that I'm going to get hold of and I'm going to knock out. And yeah, I do believe. I believe like I've been slept on. I feel like even the UK MMA scene, I feel like disrespected from the UK MMA scene. I feel like everyone just kind of wrote me off. And after watching the Bisping documentary, it's kind of like, fuck, man. Like, I've always said it. It was only me that believed in me that got me here. So no one else believed in me. I got here. And nothing else changes. I just carry on putting in the hard work, doing what I can. Like, Paddy's a star because Paddy's been looked after the whole career. Paddy didn't have a bad manager. Paddy had a manager who also owns the biggest organization in Europe. Do you know what I mean? Like, which I think that's something that needs to be looked into. Why should these big MMA promotions be able to manage the fighters as well? They give them the perfect fights. They hide footage. They don't pay fighters well. Like, I've got so much to say about Cage Warriors, man. Like, it's just, I just feel like, yeah, Paddy's a superstar. I'm not taking nothing away from Paddy in that thing, right? Like, congratulations, Paddy. Well done. Hats off to you. If I had someone manage me like they managed Paddy at the start, I've got the talent, I've got the work drive, I've got the resume. I'd be that person. But now I've just got to go in the UFC and do it all by myself, which I will. And when I do it, it'd just be more rewarding.
So how much easier is it for you now that you're signed with Iridium and you have Jason House as your manager, easily one of the best management companies in the sport?
It's a lot easier. Jason's the only man that's really come into my life in the MMA world and actually done what he said he was going to do. Jason was trying to sign me for a while, and I was with another management as well. And yeah, it was just worked out at the right time. I didn't re-sign with my old management. Kind of felt like I was like stuck in a loophole, and if this was going to be the opportunity, it had to be now. Like I'm not the youngest, so I know I started late in the game. Jason said, "Oh, he'd have me in the UFC." He said, "With my character alone, and the fact that I can fight and back up, he said, like the UFC is where you belong, and you could be one of the biggest superstars." So to come out of the UK, so I trusted in him. I believe that he would do right by me, and he has so far. So far, so good. He knows I'm raring to go. I probably message him every other week, ranting and raving about shit and how I just want to get in there and smash people's faces in. So he knows I'm very enthusiastic, but very motivated.
Well, let's talk about UFC Fight Night 207. Again, April the 23rd, you're taking on Aoriqileng. Who's going to be in your corner that night? I know we talked earlier, you're at Syndicate MMA. Who will be in your corner come fight night?
So I'd be John Wood. I've got my Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach from back home, my professor who I've been with since the first day I walked into the gym, Valmir Neto. And then I'm going to have my teammate here, Vince Morales, who's going to be cornering.
Yeah, and I saw on your Instagram you got some pictures and stuff with Vince training. What is it like to have him as a training partner? I've interviewed him a few times. Great guy and a great fighter, and he's got some momentum going for his career as well. What is it like to have him around?
Yeah, it's great. Like honestly, I mean, it works out fantastic because we're both in the same weight category. So even though he's a lot heavier than me,
No.
he's not really. I'm always heavier than him. That guy, I don't know how he's so light. He should go down to flyweight. But anyway, yeah, he's a great asset. We get on really well, which is obviously the main ingredient to having a successful fight camp is the energy that you surround yourself around. And I think we definitely have the same mindset when it comes to training. Like we train hard, we don't skip sessions. We're always being told by the UFC PI staff and the stuff that they think that me and Vince probably train the most, and they don't know people that train like me and him, and we should slow down and whatnot. And so it's definitely we have that same mindset with training, but then also outside of training, I think we have a very similar understanding of each other where we're very sarcastic, like to crack jokes. We're quite we just like, you know, when like you're in a room and Vince is always someone he's very smart, intelligent, witty. So he cracks shit and I click on, but the people don't realize what's just been said. And I'm like, oh my God, he didn't just say that. He's funny, man. So it's actually, it's a really good, it's a really good friendship. And yeah, I think it's great. I live with him as well. Him as fiance. I just got engaged. So yeah, honestly, I couldn't ask for anything better, really. I was actually saying before, like because when I was making the transition over to Vegas, it was like, because I was always Jackson Wink, but then obviously times move on, things happen, and that journey ended at Jackson Wink. Very grateful for them guys down there. They're one of the sole reasons why I got to the UFC is by having that facility there. But yeah, like changing over, you kind of like, oh, I've got to change, find a gym, find the right people. Hopefully I get on with. I'm a very outgoing person anyway, to get on with, but it's just, you know, when you're trying to build that bridge, and I was for a while staying in like an Airbnb. So I'd go training, go back to my Airbnb, and where I was like on my own, I like my own space, but it's also nice to be able to come out your room, come and chill out in the lounge area and speak with people and stuff. So I actually felt it was a lot more lonely because I do have a family at home, you know, so I have kids, so that I don't want to miss them as much as I do. So being alone the whole time, you can think about these things and it gets you down sometimes. But then when you're like, now me living here with Vince and his fiance Sheena, it's like, I don't even think about it as much. I just really enjoyed the benefits of training, good laughs, time goes quick. Like I said, I'm in a good place, and that's a lot of it is down to having teammates like Vince.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like things are really clicking for you right now. That's fantastic to hear. Well, let's talk about your opponent, Aoriqileng. He's 20-11. His last two fights were UD losses to Cody Durden and Jeff Molina. Break this one down for me, Cameron. How do you see this fight ultimately playing out?
Like, if I being completely honest, I feel that I hit him, and then he's not there no more. I literally feel that the type of power that I bring, he's gonna know I hit hard. Like, is everyone knows that. I'm not no flyweight. I'm a I'm the biggest welterweight in the bantamweight division, as Vince would say. So I've got big hands and I've got big plans, and I believe I'll be surprised if he's there after I tag him. I think it could be a quick night. I won't be shocked, put it that way. When I knock him out, it won't be like, oh my God, jump on the fence, look starstruck, like, oh my God, I did it. It'll be like I've always been like I knew that was going to happen. He's a tough fighter. His heart is tough. His mind is tough, but I don't think his body's as tough as his mind. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how tough you are in the mind if your body can't take it. And I think at flyweight, he's been dropped twice by both opponents, put him on his ass. He got back to his feet and whatnot, but I definitely hit harder than his flyweight. So coming up into the division and to see me as your first person to fight, I think it's a big outing for him. I mean, don't get me wrong, he needs a win. I need a win. We both need a win at the end of the day. But the mindset I'm in and the skills that I possess, I can't see anything other than a dominating first round finish.
I love it, man. I can't wait for this one. April 23rd, UFC Fight Night 207, back at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. Cameron Ellis meets Aoriqileng. Fantastic interviewing you for the first time. It really was all my pleasure. Before I do let you go, I want to give you the floor. Tell people where to follow you on social media, and if there's anyone you have to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so Instagram and Twitter, Cam Cheetah MMA. Facebook, just Cameron Else is my fan page, or Cameron Cam Cheetah Else. I just want to massive thank you to you, obviously taking your time out to interview me, and also to everyone that supports me and has helped me along this journey. Also, big shout out to Through Dark and Team Cam Cheetah, basically anyone that supports me. And don't forget that April 23rd is the English Day, is St. George's Day. I'll be raising that flag, and I'll be bringing the fighting spirit for the whole country, as I will be the only Englishman fighting that day. So be sure that I will do everyone proud. I will make it vicious. I will make it bloody, but I will come out victorious.